and gentlemen, welcome. For those of you who don't know, I'm Si from Ace Podcast Nation. This is another live event we've done a few recently. Thank you to those who came before, thank you to newcomers. Obviously, we're all here for one reason, and that is to hear the words of the new Wales manager, Mr. Craig Bellamy. Please welcome the new Wales manager, Mr. Craig Bellamy. I thought he wasn't coming then for a second, I gotta say. Thought it was going to look silly. But there we go. Thank you very much to everyone for coming, and really looking forward to it. Just a general thing for everyone. Obviously try and be respectful as Craig's speaking. Also predominantly is a Wales event, obviously in the second part where we open it up and you're allowed to ask questions. You know, we know the odd one about Cardiff will come up, but generally speaking, we want to talk Wales. We want to talk about what this gentleman has planned for the national team. We've got a little bit of an icebreaker question first of all, but let's hear from the man himself initially. How are you, mate? Looking forward to it?
Yeah, I am. It's come around quite quick because you never know with these type of jobs. It's I was aware of the games in the summer. I got to be honest, I didn't watch them. Yeah, of course. I know. But and then obviously a few weeks after that, I was aware obviously the manager's gone, and then it was just, I don't know, because a lot of people, because obviously they know I'm Welsh and everything like that, would I be interested in it? And I got to be honest, I never, because you can't plan for like a national team role. It's just not something that's there. But the more I spoke to Dave Adams, he come to Burnley and come and see me. But do you know you go into the Cardiff City Stadium? Yeah. And you come across that mural, Gary Speed? Yeah. It catches me every fucking time. Yeah. No, but I mean it in like, I can't. And for me then it was like, I have to do this. Yeah. This was, it wasn't about anything else apart from for me as well, like it means a lot to me. Of course, I'm Welsh and we all are like proud, but like preserving his legacy is really important to me, because he had such an impact on me as a human being, as a footballer. So, and IG would be here as well. He had a huge impact on me. I mean, everyone he was around, he had an impact on. And I know we appreciate him as fans, but for me personally was, you know, I spoke to his mum. I wanted to know how she felt about it, and she was like, "You got to go and do this." And it was it. I was in, and I was in for that moment. And lucky enough, Welsh, like Dave Adams and Noel, and they felt I was the one for it, and here we are.
Indeed we are, indeed we are. So, on that note, I suppose, I'll carry on a little bit from that. Do you think there's a balance to be found for Wales managers whereby you want to carry on what Gary Speed started, you want to carry on what managers before you have done, but also you've got to balance that with what you want to do and what you think is going to work and what you think is the way forward? Is that a fine line?
No, it was more what he was his professionalism. So like the high standards from like he was a very humble human being, but what he demanded, but the tiny things about eating on schedule, making sure you're in on time, no lateness for meetings, no lateness for dinner, wear the same t-shirt, you eat when you're told, you leave when you're told. So all these habits, like we got it quite a lot of Sir Bobby Robson, so he was very much like that with us. But they were good habits. They might be tiny little details where you would think it doesn't really matter, but they really do. If you can get the tiny details, the big ones, you can actually, believe it or not, you can start being a little bit lenient on, and be more, you can negotiate a little bit more. But the tiny, like those little details have a huge effect, have big impacts. So that was what I wanted, for me personally, what I really put in place. Because the standards, you know, it's a privilege to play for your country, and that's for every country as well. But you have to respect it. And you have to respect the working environment that people put in day out. Because you're only there for 10 days, but this camp's been going on now. We're working on it right now, and there's people behind the scenes working on it. Things like your shirts, you are not changing the shirts at half time. If you do not come back out with one. It's too valuable. After the game, I don't want to see you change a shirt on the pitch. It's got to be, if you're going to change, you change it off, because as we all know, there's people who give anything for that shirt, and not just fans, but players as well, coming up through the generations as well. It's an honour to have that. You own that shirt, you have that shirt right now, but you ain't going to have it forever. But you do not show any, I wouldn't call it lack of respect, if you understand what I mean, but it's do the shirt service. So if you want to change, no problem, you can do that after it. But football-wise, I have my own views. I have my own way of how I like football, because I have to like it. I have to really enjoy what I see, and hopefully you guys will get to enjoy it as well.
So we'll come back to your vision on obviously the Wales team and things that you're looking forward to and stuff like that. But what I'd like to do, just to start us off, is if you can kind of, just off the top of your head really, name me an 11 which has, the only caveat in the 11 is that they're Welsh and that you've played with them either at club or national level.
Welsh.
Gary Speed.
Yeah. I'll go from one then, yeah. So we go goalkeeper. It'd have to be Neville Southall. Just growing up as a kid, like I'm a Liverpool fan, so yeah, shoot me. But I'm a bit, and he was obviously him being an Evertonian as well. But don't forget, it was a period as well in the 80s when he was the best goalkeeper in the world. There was no one like Neville Southall, and even Wales games. You know, if you look, it's heartbreaking. But the 7-1 against Holland, do you remember that? And he was incredible, and he conceded 7. That's how good the Holland team were, and obviously we were in a great state then. But even when you watch Wales' games during those times, the Germany game when they won 1-0 with Russia scored, it was Southall was everything. And so I was lucky when I first came into the squad, he was there, so I'll definitely have to put him there. Right back, Delaney. He was unassuming but very underrated. He had pace to burn. He was quick, but he read his balance of, and also his timing of distance control, because it's very important for fullbacks. His was very good. I don't think, because he played at Cardiff, I think people at Cardiff appreciate him, but I don't believe the Premier League, what he's talked about in terms that I believe, because I put him down, I think it might be 2002, I know it's not is the team of the year, because I thought he was that good. So I rated him really, really high. Centre backs, who am I going to leave? Well, I'd have to go Ash Williams. Yeah, but he was incredible for Wales, to be fair to him. Outstanding. Gabs, definitely Gabs. Even though Cookie was a good player, Chris Coleman's a really good player. But Gabs just had that. He done things with ease as well at times. He was a really, really outstanding player. Now I'm going to have to try and move this, so I'll probably go Gary Speed as a left back. Because he played for us in important games as well. Of course, he's a centre midfielder, an attacking midfielder, but the job he could do for us at left back as well at times, because we were really struggling in those areas, was incredible, an intelligent player. I'll go midfield three. Do you know what I played with was Mark Pembridge? Pem was a hell of a player, you know. Honestly, he was 5'7". I'll tell you what, Kumas, I won't name him this, but he's that year he had at Cardiff. Do you remember the first year? He's the best I've ever seen a Cardiff City player play. Now, Kavanagh was it? What was his name? Kavanagh, sorry, my fault. He was outstanding for a seat, when I seen him at Cardiff once. But I remember Kumas that year that was the best I've ever seen a Cardiff City player play that season. I thought he just run games. But going back to Wales, I'll put Penn as a 6. These are boys who I played with, by the way. Who am I leaving out here now? I'd have to go maybe Simon Davis. He was a good kid. He was underrated because he didn't do anything outside of football apart from play golf. It was you never heard of him. You never. But I knew Digger as a kid, so we were at Norwich together at a very young age. And he went to Peterborough because the same guy from Norwich went to Peterborough, so he ended up going to Peterborough with him. I was this close to going, believe it or not, but chose to stay. So I knew Simon quite well, and he had a good couple of years spell with Wales. Left side of a 3. I'm going to have to come back to that because now Giggs I got to put left wing. He was obviously Giggs is Giggs. He was an incredible player, incredible. In a difficult time for Wales as well. Yeah, but you go Hearts was tough. Listen, you've got your Cardiff heads on now. I go straight away right wing. I said Hearts, so we just leave it out. Bale. So number 10 is Ramsey. I'm gutted you because I'm going through. I'm missing out Joe Allen, who I loved. I'm missing out Neil Taylor, who I loved. Letts was a good player. You know? He wasn't. You had to really watch it. If you really watch it, because the thing with Letts, he can play 1-2 touch. Now, sometimes people see that as easy. Believe it or not, you've got to be a hell of a player to play 1-2 touch, because it means you're seeing the next pass and your body's open to be able to do it. Now you see a lot of players have a lot of touches and they might catch the eye, but actually they're just wasting the time. And for players in certain areas, they're killing you. Like Letts was I knew even myself as a forward, loved playing with him because you just got you the ball as quick as possible. because he was a good player, because his body was open, he could see the next pass, he knew what was happening, and he could see moves like 2-3 passes ahead. So Leds was a really outstanding player, but I have to go Rambo. Rambo, like, his entry into the box, but he can slip you in, he was so creative, but I love the Rambo that's able to break from deep into the final third. That's where he's really, really dangerous. And on the right would be Gareth Bale. He is the best Welsh player I've ever seen play for Wales. I've seen him like he won games single-handedly. Honestly, he was. I've seen really top Wales players, like Giggs was incredible, but it was difficult for him in a Wales team at times because the players obviously, and you're spending a long time about the ball, so it was difficult. Everyone you could easily see, like, well, why is he not playing that? He doesn't do that at Man United, but Man United have all the ball. They're on the attack all the time, so he looks incredible, and because he is an incredible player. But with Wales, with a lot of time without the ball, defended in deep blocks, so you're not really going to see true right. But the thing with Gareth at times, even when he was in a deep block, when he broke forward, and I remember I played him in Montenegro once we were in Montenegro away, and he was just moving up into that stage, that next step, and it was like, give him the ball. Give him the ball. Usually I was the one giving the ball, but it was like, as soon as I had him, take it, quick go. He was, he's the best I've seen.
Yeah, I think Gareth Bale, like, he dragged Wales through a fair few games, didn't he? Even, in the tournament as well, when we got to 2016, he, at the start of that tournament, we weren't really hitting it, and he, found a way, didn't he? That free kick against England, and yeah, he was very special. So, we're in Splott, obviously, but that is, it's full circle for you. Obviously, you grew up around here. So, is that like a nice moment for you to come back to Splott as your first official engagement as the Wales manager and come and do it exactly where you sort of started as a kid?
Yeah, no, it's important because like I was Swinton Street. Yeah, I was born there. I lived there until I was about 5. Went to Baden-Powell. So a lot of I know everywhere here. My nan was Adamstown, which obviously 2 parents working. So my nan, like the holidays, like it would be now. I spent until we get dropped off there with my brothers, and then my mum and dad, when they finished work around about 5, then pick us up. So I spent all my holidays here really, like around here, Adamstown, and obviously living there, and then moved to Trowbridge then. But yeah, so it's quite I don't want to use the word romantic or settlement. But it's important for me as well. It's important because I've lived most of my life away from Cardiff, just due to where football took me. So, but I felt the importance of coming back here as well, because this job is a full-time job. It can't be any other way, because even doing, it's important that I do functions like this as well. As the FA, we don't earn a penny from this. We don't get paid nothing for it. It is for you guys.
Let's get Wales to the next everything, Valley.
We hope. That's what we're going for.
That is a Splott boy.
But it's but for you guys to be able to learn ready to understand what I mean, because grassroots football and everything is hugely important as well. So I think that's a huge responsibility of the role as well.
Yes, massive. And I mean, obviously grassroots football is where the next generation will come from in terms of Welsh players and footballers, and just keeping kids off the street as well is massive with grassroots football. What did grassroots football look like for you as a kid? Because I know now the facilities that I see my kids playing on is unbelievable compared to what we used to deal with back in the day. But sort of talk me through a little bit, your experience of grassroots football, and how old were you when you sort of moved towards that academy system and that sort of thing?
No, it was a lot different then. It was, I'm grateful to come from a generation I came from, where we played every day. We were outside every day. So it was like obviously, by the time then I was playing football, it was like I was in Trowbridge and all that then. So from the age of 6, 7, it was every day I was out playing football. And I remember there was a guy from Pentwyn Dynamos. I can't remember his name, Malcolm or yeah, that's it. He was going around selecting players. Like, so if you were playing like the ABC Park or Tesco's Fields or something, he was like, "Do you want to come and play for Pentwyn?" So I'm there like straight away, hand up. Can I play? Can I play? And you're 7 years of age. Sorry, no. It's under 10s. So I remember like going home then, like my heart like so broken hearted. It was like, and then I said to my dad, it was like, "Look, they can go and play, but I can't." So my dad was like, "Well, if you want a team, go and find the players, I'll run your team." So straight away then, next day I'm knocking people's doors, whoever I've played with, or, you know, would you want to come and play? So I basically ended up getting about 12, 13 players. And then there was a team called Castell, but they weren't quite big then. They were like quite small, so we become one of the main, like we were Castell then. And then obviously teams and developed and all that from there. But it was, like I always felt, like I'm sure you guys, like generation, if there's one's younger, I was a product of my environment. Like the amount of top players I played with who were like a year older, 2 years older, because when you're playing out in a park, there's no age group. You just play. And like Andrew Evans and all these boys were just like, wow. And I could see things off them that I was just, I'd be then practicing. And then when I played for my school team, when I was playing my own age, it was quite comfortable for me, just due to the exposure I had of players. And we were like, there was one area like Trowbridge Green. In that street, one boy went to Fulham, one boy went to Chelsea, one boy Bristol Rovers, and I was Norwich. And that was one street. And it was, because don't forget, Cardiff at that time didn't have an academy. So you used to have to go to Bristol Rovers, or because they were doing the younger age groups. Cardiff City at the time was around about 14 upwards. So there wasn't really any young football for young kids. But, which was a shame, which now they've corrected, because when I look at, like I just mentioned then, like the Andrew Evanses, like all these boys, sorry, my next door neighbour played for Welsh schools as well in the 50s, and he was like, Richard Talbot was a really good player. So that area really prepared me and like give me the exposure, because like I said, I was a product of my environment, you know, and that's what made me a footballer, because I was playing with good kids day in, day out. And that's what I feel like, you know, Cardiff's always had footballers. It's always had real top footballers.
Yeah, it's mad actually, like how many players came from Cardiff but didn't end up playing for Cardiff. There's such a long list of them, like who went on and played at the top level. But like you said, because back in the day, you didn't have that academy system here, so...
But how many players lost out? Didn't go to anyone. And that's what always lived with me. I've seen so many good kids who not just didn't get the opportunity because the fact we didn't have those things in place at the time, but it was like my dad used to, you know, we'd have about 5, 6 kids at the house on a Sunday morning, as you know, like what it's like then, like for a lift. You know, it was, and I was lucky. I was so fortunate. I had like a real good father. You know, my mum was incredible as well, so I don't miss it out. But my dad was so dedicated towards it, and it allowed me to really fulfill my potential. Because if he's not giving his all, like if he's not able to take me from A to B on a regular basis, would I have missed training at certain times and not been able to get from it there? And I probably would have gone. So yeah, so I'm always appreciative and very fortunate, you know, to my father for it.
Yeah, parents are massive. Parents are huge in all footballers, like who've come through in Guardians and things like this, because ultimately, like you say, particularly when you get to those teenage years, you know, 15, 16, girls and stuff, and your mates are going out, if you haven't got someone, so it, like, I don't want to say this about me, but like I was in a school of excellence or whatever, and I was more interested in girls and stuff, and then my mum never made me go after my dad died, and I was like, But I'm not saying I would have, but I'm saying...
It would have given you a chance.
Yeah.
It would have given you the best chance then to, maybe to see if that would have been an avenue for you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would have been amazing as well. So how old were you when you went to Norwich?
11.
So what was that? How did that look at that time? Because obviously, like times have changed now. Was that more like of a phone call to your parents, or?
I even now, like one of my main strengths is my memory is thank God it's still there now, but it's really I don't games even as a kid. Even at 7, I can tell you my first ever football match was against Lamremny. I could tell you what happened, what the score was, and even it just never leaves me. I'm quite lucky with that. But yeah, when I was, believe it or not, I was in the house. Anyone seen I don't even know. I haven't even seen this since a documentary on Nostradamus. It was it's so strange. But then the house phone rings, because that's what it was house phones. So the house phone rings, and I hear my dad in the other room talking, and I could hear it was about me. And then he comes into the room and he's like, "That's Norwich City. They want to know if you'll go up there." So obviously he spoke to myself and my mum, and Norwich obviously was they were in the top flight at the time, of course, but it was a long way away. But the thing with Norwich, which was quite, they had players from everywhere, like Ireland, North East, South, like I said, even with Simon Davis, he was half a West type of area, they scouted that far as well. So their branch was really, and even in the FA Youth Cups, they were always getting to later stages. They had the time when they got to, when they were in Europe with Jeremy Goss. I don't know if you ever remember that, by Munich. But they had 6 youth players playing in the team, so you knew that was. Then they'd tell you, even when I signed my schoolboy forms when I was 14, they was look, you're not going to stay here. Ours is to develop you, sell you, and then you have your career elsewhere. So that was always the plan. But Leeds United did test that. They test that. Yeah. They offered my parents 15 grand when I was 14 to sign for them. So I remember that debate in the house. And my old man was like, "Yeah, but you've got to, it's up to him." And my mum's going, "Yeah, but think of the money." I was like, "Oh, sorry, we're still staying at Norwich."
Who was your pro when you were a schoolboy and you were cleaning the boots and that? Whose boots were you cleaning at that time?
John Poster. I don't know, you probably won't know him. He was a good player at Norwich. But it was hard. I've got to be honest, the apprentice years then, I'm sure a lot of you guys would have come through apprentice schemes at that time, and they were tough. You weren't much, and you weren't valued, but you weren't appreciated. And he wasn't great, like all of them, to be honest. If he wanted his car cleaned, I'd have to go and clean his car, I'd have to clean his boots, make sure his paper was there for him to get changed, make sure his kit was there. So it was just a constant routine, and obviously I was going away with Wales younger age group, so every time I'd come back I'd have to introduce myself to him again. "Hi, I'm Craig Bellamy from Cardiff, such and such," in front of everyone. But it was I'm never a fan of, because people think straight away that's where you were used to that, how you got treated, and we got treated bad. It was I honestly, I've seen 2 players who I thought were really talented, just it wasn't for them. They didn't want to do it, and I think that's a shame. Because I'm quite I don't like that side. I quite like the modern bit now of where it's gone, but it's gone a little bit too much. We've got to try and find the balance. Do you understand where I'm going with this? Where,
yeah. Do you think the jobs and the clean, they used to clean the stands and stuff, didn't they, back in the day? Say, in Indian Park, they'd be doing, the apprentices would be doing the terraces and that.
Yeah.
Do you think they, like you said, they've gone completely the other way now, haven't they, where they don't do jobs? They need to find somewhere in the middle, really, don't they?
They do. I wouldn't say I'd still bring that in. Yeah, it's the job. Yeah, I know you mean.
Generally.
I know you mean. But there's still, because the role of any academy or any football club, and that's even like with an international setup. It's like you prepare them for life.
Yeah.
But can you make them the best person they can? Like football, very few are able to go and make this game, and very few are able to play at the top level. It's the numbers game. If you really looked at the numbers, you don't want to be involved in those numbers because you won't be gambling on it.
But this is where Will's managing on me.
But at the same time, where you look at it from there, it's like you have to prepare them for life. Do you understand what I mean? Where they're able to go into society and contribute. That it's not an excuse and they fall by the wayside. That you give them the best chance, no matter whatever it is they choose to do in life. They do it to the best of what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, one of the downsides to the academy systems now, where they run from sevens all the way up to the youth team or the 23s or whatever, is you can have kids who are in there from 7 all the way up to 16, and because they've gone through each age group, they almost assume, 16s or 23s next, or schoolboy forms, and then because they're competing not just against their own squad to get that contract, but also players from outside the area for those schoolboy forms, you can kind of, when they drop out of the game, often they didn't have school to fall back on or things like that because they put so much into football. And I think it's important, like you said, that clubs look after players off the field as well, because those players who do fall out, 17, 16, whatever, they need to have a backup plan and a way to deal with it.
No, but then if you're with an academy from 7 years of age, but you're not playing club football with your friends, then you're in an elite environment, no problem. I have no questions about that. Good luck to the kids. But what happens then when they turn 16, 17, they get released? Where do they go then? They've never played with their friends. They've never had that enjoyment. They've just been elite from day one about what you can eat, how you train, this, and this. Where I honestly believe there's certain parts of where they have to go and play with their friends. Don't want to see you for a couple of weeks. Don't need you in the academies. You go and play with your friends. You go and enjoy football, and whether it's easy for you or not easy, I don't care. That's more. So if it does, like the thing with football has got so serious so quick. It's about enjoyment. It's about enjoyment. There's no way a kid from 7 upwards can live with that, like, because every year are they getting taken on and they not, and imagine living like that for a young kid. It's not going to be anywhere near good for his mental health. So that area of being able to, like, if you don't enjoy it, don't play this game, because it's the best game in the world. It's the most played game, most watched game in the world, but it's there to be enjoyed. It's there to be loved. That's why we're here now, because we love it.
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm interested in who helped guide Craig Bellamy, who helped you when you was a teenager, when you've had issues with it throughout your club career, or good and bad, whatever it may be. Who's the person you bounce ideas off, or your go-to, or like who's the one that's always your sort of go-to person back in the day, and if they're still the same now?
I don't like obviously, like my father was like had a huge impact on me growing up. But then when I moved away at 15, obviously it was a different platform for me then. And I always believe like certain people come into your life at the right time, and you don't know when, but it happens. But are you ready then? And I remember when I was just turned 18, we had a guy called Peter Grant. He played for Celtic for about 12 years, was captain of the club, and then came to Norwich. He was around about 32, 33, but I just watched everything he'd done. He was in the gym, he was doing what he ate, he was doing extra stuff, and his ability wasn't great, but his attitude was incredible. So I just locked onto him, and he seen me lock onto him, and he sort of took to me as well. Like I'd go around like a kid, going around his house with food in the evenings with his wife, Lorraine, and so I got to know him really well. And I remember it, like he said to me, like, I don't have nowhere near your ability, but if you can do what I done, with my attitude, and I got to watch him really well, he would have an incredible career. And I remember it was like we were on the way back from Cambridge once, and like doing a talk for Norwich City at the time, and he was he was right. Like, I've got to take this shit serious. And I saw it was I was quite driven anyway then, but that level of what you ate, how much water you took, it would just become another level for me. How I trained, gym in the morning, then train, then I'd go back sometimes in the afternoon then, with the reserves, train extra run, because I didn't see myself as a first team player, even though I was playing in the first team. I knew I had more, if I want to go and play at the real top, I need to hone in, like, this ain't enough for me. So he really gave me a real strong base, and then coming to Wales then, it was interesting then, because like, Speedo was exactly that mentality. Like, even if you see the warm-ups, he was at the front, never lagging behind, always at the front. Even the same again, how he ate, what he ate, didn't abuse his body, really took it serious. Training, all in. Even in games, he just lived, and he was, so you just latch onto that person again. And then I was lucky enough to have him at Newcastle as well, so being with him for a few years at Newcastle gave me that person to really cling on to. And then it became quite a familiar theme then. It was like the best pros, like the best pros I've worked with, the best players. It's like, it wasn't a coincidence. And then even when I went with Alonso, Gerrard, they were incredible pros. They were serious people, you know what I mean? They weren't taking the easy way out, or if there was even if you do even in a warm-up you run around a cone, they didn't go halfway up to it or jog around, they went all the way around. And because I watched that so much, it was ingrained in me, but only through those people who, like I said, come at the right time, that allow me, that's how you have to be. If you want to be the best you can be, these are the type of people you have to follow, you have to listen to. And it's no pass in the buck in training, like in games as well. If you've got anything to say after the game, you say it. Don't say it in the change rooms. In the showers and all that, start bitching. Don't want to hear it, you had your chance to say it, then say it. So I would never allow that amongst players. So if the manager said they haven't got anything to say, I would literally look around. If I had something to say, I'd say that. But if no one else, and then they thought they could talk, then I would shut that down straight away, because that's not, you had your opportunity, I don't want to hear it now. Because I learned that off these type of people, and obviously they've learned that off other, Speedo learned that off Gordon Strachan. So it was these type of people, and like I said, they just become a familiar theme then. Gerrard's incredible attitude, Vincent Company, incredible attitude, Suarez, ridiculous attitude, didn't miss a day's training. So these people, there's no coincidence why they are where they are.
Yeah, it's the highest level, and they put in the most work and the most hours. When you came to Cardiff, didn't you have almost like a personal trainer or something like that, or an additional trainer who come with you to help you with your fitness or whatever?
Yeah. Well,
you'd have to clarify exactly what it was like, but I think I vaguely remember someone saying that you.
Yeah. Well, I done my ACL when I was 19, and that was once you have a real big injury like that, you're always having to do you always have to do maintenance on it. You never, so I'd have to work on my knee, work on this. So that became. But during that time as well, I was always because maybe I was a quick player, I was always I'd get to about 14, 15 games in a row, then I would pull a hamstring or something would happen, my body would give. But then I started to without boring you too much, I'll try and get through as quick as possible. I started to get through the fitness side of stuff, and I went through a course and everything on it as well, because I don't know, anyone remember South Korea 2002?
Yeah.
Well, they got to the semi-finals, but how South Korea got to the semi-finals? Because the intensity they played at was fucking through the roof. Through the roof, they blow teams away. But Gussidink was there. Now, I tend to watch Gussidink, so I think Gussidink's one of the top ones who's ever been about. Now, that guy was earning 15 million a year when no one was earning 15 million. You were paying him. So when he went to Australia, no coincidence, they qualified. Takes Russia to the semi-finals of Euros. So he's just consistently, but then when you start looking at his backroom staff, you start seeing the same names. So then when I went to Man City, one of those backroom staff comes into Man City. So then I'm asking about Gasidik, I'm asking about South Korea, I'm asking about Russia. So he's giving me insights to this, this and this. And it was all basically about being in the best condition possible for your speed players to not be injured, to maintain the body to be able to play at the high intensity that you wanted. So I started to work that out, and that's when I started working with this guy, who was Gasidik's really main guy. Even Vahayan, his name is. Now, Speedo brought him in after I spoke to Speedo about him. Incredible genius of a guy, but has a strong opinion of not just himself, on other people. So he's Dutch, not just Dutch, he's like beyond Dutch.
Super Dutch. So obviously, like throughout your career, at certain points, you're playing Chris. Certain people, media, whoever, have labelled you as a bit fiery or difficult. Everyone who I know or have spoken to who played with you says the opposite. But I'm kind of interested in how you perceive it, because just from our interactions, like upstairs and stuff, you seem like a very chilled out person. So is it they've kind of got it wrong? Is it an unfair label? Or have you changed? Like whereabouts is it, do you think?
Like I always, like my standards were always high. Now, if I felt like someone was going beneath those standards and he was taking liberties with it, you ain't gonna like me. You ain't, because I'm gonna call you out. Now, I don't have to, do you understand what I mean? It's a lot easier for me to turn a blind eye and just worry about myself, but I felt like I needed you. I need you on a Saturday, so I need you doing the right stuff. Now, some people love it, some people hate it. Now, I understood that come a game, like, I think like I was quite emotionally run, which is never a good way. It's never a positive way to try and play football matches, because if I look at it, I've burnt out loads of energy just arguing over stuff I can't change. I felt it was making me better because it would get me running more, but actually when I look back now, I always found it hard to look back at myself anyway playing, but even when I look back now, I'm never too keen, because I actually, even tactically as well, I was like, what was I doing at times? It was like all over the place, actually running areas that I didn't need to run in. So yeah, there's definitely like I'm quite socially awkward as well at times, if that makes sense of anything. I really I struggle in big groups, believe it or not. It's not it sounds bad when you play, because if I watched a game and I like say when I was watching Newcastle play, I was like, how the hell do I do this? It terrified me. But when I was playing, I built myself so much that I switched off to everything and just become normal. But yeah, so it's probably a lot down to how I am as a person, and sometimes it was more a release on a Saturday, but draining. And now just, I don't know, like, I think when you get older, you get wiser, like you get smarter, and you sort of get to understand yourself a lot more. You understand your triggers, you understand what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, and it allows you to be a little bit more comfortable in your own skin. But I think a lot of my career early doors, I wasn't quite comfortable in it. I was still finding me. I'm still got a long way to go, but I feel like I'm finding a better balance than I probably ever have done.
100%.
So obviously you were helping Vincent Company and coaching at Burnley, and you've done very well. Do you think you've taken that growth, if you like, for lack of a better term, like maybe a bit of a better understanding of yourself, but also if you see players who are doing similar things to what you used to do, whether it's the motion or, you know, just getting a bit carried away or whatnot, do you think you're in a good position to help those players, and would you use your own experiences to bring that along?
I think you understand, like, I think more now, I understand life a lot more. I mean, like, I've enjoyed the highs, but I also I haven't been too down with the lows as well. So it's allowed me to be a little bit more balanced. And I haven't. And I always, when I look at a player, like say for instance he comes in the morning, and do you know when someone's not there, you know they're not there. Instead of like giving them a nudge, saying come on, get going, and you know you're not trying. And my first thought is to see what's up, see what's happened, because I don't know what's happened last night. I don't know if there's something going on in this family. I need to find out, or as much as he'll be able to tell me. Because I feel like emotionally, it's like everyone. If you know someone's got your back, then you're in. But if someone you feel like someone don't give a shit, you don't really care for you too much. You just watch them perform, and you know, like you're in a circus as an actor, and off you go. And I don't feel that works. So for me, it's more just like the human side. Like I care more about family than anything else. It's more important to me than anything else. But I mean the players as well. Do you understand what I mean? It's like if there's an issue with anything, football don't worry about. I don't want to see you off you go. That's more important. And would I have thought like that about 20 odd years ago? I don't think I would have. Because I was like, football's everything. Football's like, do you know what Shankly said about like, you know, life and death? Like I took that literally. I was like living that. It's more important, you know, but it isn't. It isn't. And it took me about 10 years to see an interview he'd done, and obviously he got played back, and he said it was one of the worst things he's ever said. I was like, I wish I fucking knew that about 10 years. I was like, I've been living off this, and even your Roy Keanes and all that, like I'm like I love Roy Keane. Now I'm fed up of him. Because like it's just boring, like, you know, you just tell me about the game, stop telling me about something like he's not trying, he's too easy to say all this. It's like, give me the detail about why is he not? Now if they've got two in the middle of the park and they're getting outplayed by 4 players, because that'll happen, I could put 4 people in here and now 2 in the middle. 2 of you will stop running after a while because you worked out you can't win it. Now that happens on a football pitch, doesn't mean you're not trying, you just worked out the possibility is, actually why am I running? Because I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. That's what you point out. Not the person like, you know, so it's those type of things. Yeah.
Do you think that's just separate to that, I guess, with the punditry route? Like I feel like there's 1 or 2 decent pundits, but then there's also some not so good ones, shall we say. Do you feel like where did you make that decision where you were going to go sort of coaching, management, as opposed to the sort of media route and the punditry? Because you did do it. You popped
No,
up a
I
few times.
went in it when I finished, because I remember taking a meeting coaching, and I just wasn't comfortable with the screen, and I wasn't comfortable with how my message was coming across. So like come away from it, traumatized myself. But it was something I wasn't used to, and usually sometimes when you're not used to it, you shouldn't really be that good unless you're just incredibly, natural, and I certainly wasn't. So that's why I wanted to go into the TV type of route, only for a certain period, because I was really, like to be fair to work with Sky, they helped me with that. So helped me to be able to present myself. So I needed that focus of like, don't forget when you're live on TV, no swearing, you know, so you're constantly like concentrating and
censoring.
But where you've got to give levels of tactical information, but very quick, because you've only got a certain amount of time to talk. And I always felt that was important for me if I really wanted to take coaching serious, because at half time I'm only going to get a couple of minutes, so I've got to be able to hit it straight away. Now if I use a screen, this is what's happening, this is what we need to do for in possession, out of possession, but you've got to be able to hit your points for the players, because you're only going to get about 5 minutes of them, if you're lucky. So that's what I use TV for, really, to put me into that. Now what do I think of a lot of media? It's gone down a lot now at the present moment, but I see that as normal, because we've had a lot of new people come in now, which I think is right. Now we talk about that, like there's a lot of women now involved in talking about the men's game. I think it's completely right. Now of course but don't forget when Lineker's and all that had this, because they've had it sewn up for long enough. Now when they started off, they were poor. You can't get away from that. But now they're good because they've had years of it. And now the quality, has taken a little bit of a dip, but it will get better. The more they do, like more people do it, and the more they get familiarised with the roles, then they're going to become in the next household names in the next few years. So we've had to take a little bit of a hit now to be able to improve the quality for later. But detail, I think like a lot of people now who are watching football are clued on a lot more now. They see a lot more than what's going on. And I feel we have to speed it up to what we show and what we need to talk a little bit more about tactics, more about what's going on in the game. Because I feel now we're at an area where we've been exposed by the best managers. Like over here now we're getting exposed. Like we've got Guardiola, we've got Klopp. You know, with the managers we've had and also the staff they bring, we're at the top end. Because the Premier League, we have the best league in the world. There's not even anywhere, not even close to it. Don't worry about German football, it's not there. It's nowhere near it. It's the Premier League. It's Premier League. Like now you've got Brentford. Brentford can outbid AC Milan. If they want to play it, go and take it. AC Milan will be able to touch you. You know, because they got more money to spend on the fee. And they just bought a player for 30 million and then loaned him out for 6 months. It's just, that's what the Premier League's doing now. It's going from strength to strength. The longer you stay in it, you know, like we looked at it last year, even with Burnley, realistically, we needed about 400 million to stay up. 400 million. I'm telling you, honestly, I'm telling you, we spent 120. 120, didn't even touch the sides. We were like, honestly, because what could we get? Then we had to buy young players. So we bought Odegaard for about 10 million, and 1 season in football. Now we're lucky being able to flip him onto Chelsea for 40 this year. But that takes time. You know what I mean? That's a season. So if we would have stayed in the Premier League this year, then we have more money again, then we're able to, you know, that's when you're able to bridge that gap. But anyone coming up, just to what they're doing now and the money they've got, it's like Luton was great. It was like everyone wanted Luton to do quite well because they didn't quite spend. But Graham Jones, the manager, yeah, it was Graham Jones. Am I right? No, not Robert. The one before it. Nathan Jones. I got it wrong. Right, I'm telling you now, right? He was a smart guy. He was a smart guy. You watch the running levels of their players, the high intensity. They're like athletic as anything, which in the Premier League, you have to be athletic now. So when we look at players, it's all sprint distance, high intensity. If you don't, like we call it like playing poker. To play poker, if you want to play for prize money, you've got to pay an entrance fee. That's your entrance fee. If you haven't got that, we don't even look at you. We're literally like, you're not in, but the others are looking at it. So that's why their value's going up, because they're outsourcing all the other leagues, and that's why their prices have gone up so much. So it's like, if someone's got high intensity, he's got real big sprint distance, of course he's got ability, because that's why he laid down 30, 40 million. But that's for one player. Now you put his wages on top of that, that's around about 50, 60. So that's one player to be competitive. So we're trying to figure out a market where we need 6, 7 for about 120, which ain't going to get you much. So when you look at it, those type of profiles for that type of, that's where your 300, 400 millions come in. To have a real, like we were the 3rd lowest budget in the Premier League. 3rd lowest, that's why we went down. You know? I was a coach, so I didn't get that type of information. They get me in a certain distance. But like Vinny, I tell you with Vinny, he's like, there's no coincidence he's gone to Bayern Munich. I'm telling you, he's incredible. Now his work ethic is out of this world. You could put him in any department, he'd be the top one. Is like we. I
Not
keep
better
it
than
more.
Davey though.
He hasn't got his temper either. But he's on the, we call him like he's on the spectrum. There's no two ways about it. And he's definitely is. He's
That's a bit harsh.
But is the way he works, like he was going to Chelsea, it was all done. But then Bayern Munich came in last second. And he's like, he'll do really well there because he's understood what needs to be done there. And it's more about, like, you hear me talk more about habits. game's habits. Now, when I talk about habits, do you know when you see a real good team? It's when you move out the ball. That's when you know you're a good team. So you don't see the gaps spread out. Do you know when the ball goes long? And your defenders your forwards are backing as well at the same time. Now, all the top teams, if you really look at those habits of what they're like without the ball, then you'll see how good they are. Then that's when you see your Man Cities. We always see the football side, it's easy to see. But you see them without it, then you know they're fucking serious. Bayern Munich won that. That's why they ended up losing out in the league last year. So he's identified that straight away. Now, that happens in training, because when he looks back from training, he sees that not being the same. That's why they haven't won. It wasn't due to the fact that they got good players, and they will have better players again this year to win it. Like Bayer Leverkusen were able to blow everyone out the water due to that, which gave him a route to come in, and that's where he'd be good at. And that's where really, you'll see more of me with the Welsh teams, the habits, defensive habits around the ball. Like the reason I press, and I press high, because I'm basically saying, you're running. You're running, because I can't have you sitting off and running 60, 70 metres to have an effort on goal. You win it high up, you have 30, 10, 15. So there's a carrot there for you as well. Do you understand what I mean? But in order to do that, the back line's got to be high. So a lot of people, I hate the word risk. People love that word risk in football, and it's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's for, I cannot accept it. It's not risk. It's common sense. It's common sense. Now, do you have the players to be able to do it? Now, not everyone has that luxury of having those type of players. But when I look through the Welsh squad, it was I look through the numbers. Excuse me with this, is what I do analysis and number, the numbers game I'm really high on. So I've got to see sprints, I've got to see this, and what they cover, what they don't cover. And I've seen so many boys on the forward line hitting big numbers. So that allows straight away press. You've got the players to press. You can't be sitting off. They're dynamic, they're also mobile. Now, defensive line also, there's no point them pressing and them sitting off, because then the gaps will become big, and then you lose on the second balls, your duels, all that type of stuff. So that's where they've got to be high, they've got to be working together, so it works that way. Now, not all the time you can always press, because if they broke the line, no problem, you come back. But then you get ready to set a trigger to go again. But it's real high intensity of being able to go. Now, can I get that after 4 or 5 days of training? That's about. Of course it is. You can easily say no chance, but what's the fucking point doing if there's no chance? Because there's always a chance to be able to do it. But you've got to, for us now, it's we've got to. So the type of people you bring in, even into your coaching staff, so you've got to, the sports science side has to be really top, the physio side has to be really top, because we're going to turn the players over really, really quick. Now, we'll have another game Monday, so we'll play Friday, Monday, which ain't great, by the way. But I like the other players who might be rested in one game that can come into the next one. And then we go again. But the key aspect of what I'd like you to be able to see in the next few games is the playing side's quite easy. I think it's quite easy to make a team be able to play the way you want to play. I never see that being too much of a problem. It might take a little bit of time, it doesn't happen overnight, but it's not far away.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah, but we're not on Rome. But at the same time, it just allows us to be able to move players on as well. Say for instance, Dan James. I love Dan James. I don't think we've seen him yet. Yeah, but get him in the right areas more often, and you get out problem. Because all he's got to do is come once or twice. Now, but if you flip him, I don't want to go too much detail and too much. But if you flip him over and you need to rest, who can you go with pace for pace? Let's say he's on the right.
Brooksy.
You've got Rabbi.
Rabbi Montondo.
Rabbi's right. speed, 1v1. Let it be him. Let it be him. You know, he's got a lot to his. He's like he's a kid, of course we all know. When he's a kid, I know from a young age as well. Watched him as a young age. But there's players. Do you understand what I mean? It's not. There's another one to be able to be turned over. You know, so that's the bit that excites me the most, and that's what allowed me to. The way I want to look to play. There's numbers, and the players are able to hit the targets that I feel that we're able to do something positive. Because the one thing I've seen with international football, now before it used to be the pinnacle. Am I right or am I wrong? It isn't anymore.
No.
If you watch the Euros, I agree. I completely. Teams just standing off each other. You have it, then we're having. You have it. The intensity's like, and even when you look at the stats from the games, awful. Now, our players don't have to fear, like especially the boys in the Premier League. They're playing at the top league with the highest intensity, the highest sprint distance, the highest overall distance, as well as the quality. So our players don't need to fear anyone. Now, even a championship, say for instance, comes in the top 6 of the leagues around the world for sprint distance, for high intensity. So straight away, if we're flipping between those two, we've got players who are able to play it that certain way. And now it's just to allow them to be able to go and do that.
Right, so we're going to have a quick 5, maybe 10-minute break, and then we'll open the questions up to the people, and we're definitely going to delve into like your plans for the Welsh team even more, because I think I'm not alone in saying we all want to could listen to you talk about it all day. But let's have a quick.